This is a demonstration of Wirecast. 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 This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
How did you know I want you to take that pen? Hello, Riverside Secondary. How are we doing today? Woo! Okay, that is like 25% of what I want, but we'll get there. I won't pressure you to get more excited now. My name is Kelsey Savage. That is actually my last name. I didn't just choose it to make myself more interesting. I had no say in the matter. I'm a poet here with Wordplay, Vancouver Poetry House. We put poets into high schools because we think poetry is amazing. But enough about me. We're actually going to go right into it because we're on a super tight schedule today. Apparently today is like an early dismissal day or something. Is that true? Is that true? I see some nods, I see some yeses. Okay, so we're going to go through this super lightning fast, and I want to make sure all the really brave poets behind me get their chance to read out their heart and soul to you. We have a bit of an intro to go through first, so we're going to go through that now. And I'm going to start off by saying that, so we're going to acknowledge that School District 43 resides on core territory of the Coquitlam First Nations people and lies within the shared traditional territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Katzie, Musqueam, Squamish, and Stolo nations. It's customary to acknowledge at the beginning of any gathering that we stand and we learn on Stolo traditional territory, so we thank the Stolo people for sharing this land with us. For those of you who don't know, every time we do a poetry slam, no matter where we are, we always acknowledge the land that we're on, because as artists, we are thoughtful humans and we try and take up space and honor where we are, because doing our art wherever should be honored. So I'd like to give maybe some snaps or a round of applause for this territory that we're on, because this is beautiful space that we take up and we're performing on. All right, so who here has ever been to a poetry slam before? All right, that's great. So I'm guessing like at least 80%, I'm really good at numbers today, 80% of you have not been to a poetry slam before. Some of you may be sort of familiar with this idea, and that's super okay. So for those of you who don't know, poetry slam is a lot like a monster truck rally with poetry, where the poets behind me are the physical monster trucks, and the tiny cars that they crush are society's outdated idea that poetry is really boring. So that's what we're going to collapse in the jaws of our big trucks today. And if we're thinking about the role of the audience at the Poetry Slam is critical. And I'm telling you, it is critical. The poets would be performing to an empty room if it weren't here for you. And the energy, it's all what you guys are about to bring. So I'm just gonna try and stay this here. It's really important that if you like something, I'm saying if you really like something, you're gonna make sure that I, the person next to you, the person up there, and the people here especially know that you love it. Can you do that for me? Yes? I hear some polite and civil yeses, which is great if you're having, lunch with your grandmother, but you're not. You're at a monster truck rally right now, so we're going to practice this. I want you to envision what the single best poem you've ever heard. I want you to just in your brain envision that you just heard it, and I want you to essentially shout, holler, yell, snap, clap as loud as you can because you are appreciating that human right now. Go ahead. All right. No, that's perfect. That's super, super perfect. So for that, there's two ways that the audience is going to fuel these monster trucks today. You're going to do just that before the person comes up here, and they might be super nervous, might be really anxious, might want to get that fire ready. So that's your job as they're walking up to the mic. And just as they finish, so let's just say they walked up, they did their poem, and they just finished. And what are you gonna do? You really loved it. You really dubbed it. Come on, you're gonna appreciate it. Cool, cool, cool. And the second way that audiences, specifically poetry audience, have this super stealth way of respecting poetry as it's happening and not getting, too intrusive on it, is while it's happening in front of you, if you hear something that you really, really like, you're gonna snap for it. Yeah, you're gonna snap for it. And I really can't tell you how magical it is to hear a cafeteria full of snaps, because I can't really see any of you quite that well, but I just know there's snaps existing out there. So again, only snaps while the poetry is happening, and some serious monster truck roars before and after. We got that? Cool? You can, yeah, I hear all these civils. Yes, I have that. I'm so good at this instruction. Cool. Okay, so we're going to introduce our judges today. Judges, it's a very hard job to do, and we want to appreciate them. So we have 4 judges today. I have their titles, which kind of makes me feel like I'm announcing Clue a bit. Like, this is the cook, and this is the person who is also a butler. Okay, so we have a librarian, and we have a principal, and we have a counselor, and we have an English teacher doing the hard work of judging today. And we're going to applaud for each of them because judging is a hard thing to do. We have Sue Henderson. We have Principal John Bernot. We have Counselor Pam Ledoux. Did I say that right? Cool. And we have English teacher Lori Leonard. All right. So judges, this is just you and I. No one here right now. Okay. So you play this really critical role where you have to be just strong. You have to know your truth. You have to just put that score up and you're like, this is exactly what I think and I will never be swayed. Got it? Got it. Audience, you have to sway those judges, okay? So if you say something, like if they put something up and they're like, oh, you're like, no, that was way better than that. What do you think I want you to do? Yeah, I want you to either, shout. I want you to shout that you want it higher. I think I want you to maybe do some booing, just like straight up booing. You're like, I don't approve of that. That is not cool. And if you see a score that you're like, yes, keep that. Don't move. I love it. This is exactly what I want in the world. You're gonna probably agree with it. You're gonna shout. You're gonna give me some. Let's react. You guys are way too civil. We're gonna get better with this. Okay, so. You're strong, you're holding your truth, you're not being swayed, you're swaying them with everything you have inside your core. Cool, got it. All right, so do you think we're ready for a slam yet? We have one more thing. So at every poetry slam, we want to make sure that the first poet up is at equal with all the other poets. So we want to have a sacrificial poet who literally is like the blood on the stone. They calibrate all the scores of the judges. And so what we shout for this one is you say you want some blood. Yeah? So you're going to shout at me right now. Do you think we're ready, or do you think we should have to do something else? We want some blood. No, I think you need better than that. What do you want right now? Okay, cool. So we're going to start off with a sacrificial poet. It just so happens to be me. And I think someone just raised their hand in the back. I can't answer questions right now, but hold it to the end. Cool. So we're going to do a sacrifice poet. It's going to be me. And we're going to do this as quickly as possible. Cool. Can we see me? Cool.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
The night we met, I was carrying around a backpack full of tin cans and glass mason jars. You see, I've been stringing the last of my tin cans across the city like clotheslines, through them calling out to strangers, asking them if they counted their years like laundry, folding each week into the next. I asked you if past tense ever really happens, or if it's just a shoebox full of Post-it notes we hand into another's keeping. You smiled and said you weren't really sure of anything, except maybe Latin endings and chemistry. But you confessed to me then that you began to witness your own collapse. You tucked your hand into the open mouth of science sitting between us and said, we are just particles And they are not so much rearranging anymore as they are shrinking and becoming mist inside of us. You said you could feel yourself slowly collapse backwards into a memory right there in front of me. You said you could feel the photo albums begin to form in your arms. And I replied, I'm carrying around mason jars, and they are beginning to empty. And I'm looking for a home for them, for a shelf for these glass bodies, for a front foyer, for a Chesterfield rotting with the kiss of termites. I guess I'm looking for the kind of love that leaves the kitchen door unlocked. That night, we decided the shelves of our home would be lined with mason jars, each one of them labeled with the names of places we hope to go to together, and the sound of coins joining hands and hearts of open glass would ring through the hallways of this house in jars labeled Stonehenge, pyramids, Sundays spent so lazy, parenthood. And the oldest jar we have, we will keep that one by the back door, so it will not witness any exit, cannot pair safely with return. We will label that jar sympathy. In that jar, we will put our first hair colors before we begin to silver. In that jar, we will put our tantrums, for they will belong to our children now. In that jar, we will put the eulogies of our parents. And one of us will need to visit that glass cage first, and this truth will hollow me out like the sound of unsettled change loose in my rib cage. When my mother falls, the third and final time. When your father stops calling. When the smell of my brother's clothes in his closet becomes the perfume of my tears. How early is too early to know the person that you will always grow beside? How young is just too young to know the one you will shrink in front of? The night we met, there was the sound of unsettled change joining in a heart of open glass because that night was rearranging around us. If we are collapsing in place, then each time we kiss, we become clothesline years of particles, folding into the spaces we have left open and empty for each other's hands. Thank you. All right, we have judges doing their first thing, their first really great job. Judges, I want you to be as harsh and as critical and as honest as you possibly can and give exactly what you think it is. We're going to count this down. Judges, 3, 2, 1, up with those scores. I can't see any of this. I'm going to go closer to you. All right. I see 2 scores. All right, so I'm going to read this out to everyone who can't see it. I see a 4.5. How do you feel about that, audience? Is it accurate? Is what you want to? I see a 5. I see a 4. And I see a 4. All right, so we've done a sacrifice now. We are good to go. I want to give you, yeah, that's cool. Blood has been spilled. I'm going to start right now. We're going to get going with the very first poet. How are we feeling about the very first poet? Are you excited for this? You're excited for this. All right, so first up, I have Hannah Moraes, and she's going to be reading The Mind of a Writer. Give it up for Hannah.
Picture a lake, a huge expanse of boiling blue water stretching away beyond the horizon, brimming with ideas. And you're standing there with a teaspoon trying to get this lake out of your head, flinging the water around desperately with your tiny spoon. Guys, this will be such a great lake when it's done, but you will never be done. There is too much lake. The ideas flow and tumble like the desperate rushing of a waterfall. The lake fills up, making your attempt seem more and more futile. That's what writing is. You spend hours with your tiny spoon striving to finish before the idea is gone forever because you know that one day all that will be left is a green bomber jacket and an old cello case, the remains of a once glorious empire of imagination, the ruins of a restless mind. Because on the outside, writing is millions of discarded docs, half-started stories, and half-finished sentences. It looks like carrying a notebook with you everywhere you go, but still having writing all over the backs of your hands. It looks like having a pen permanently stuck in your hair just in case inspiration strikes. But writing is so much more than that. It's having worlds in your head, being able to close your eyes and visit the tall glass cities of the future or run in the footsteps of a rogue MI6 agent. It's having people in your head, not voices, but actual legitimate people with names and faces and stories, and you know more about them than you do yourself. And it makes me sound crazy. The sparkle in my eyes makes me look insane, but writing is so much more than that. Writing is your feet walking down the street while your brain lingers in a studio apartment in Utah with a mattress on the floor and an old leather jacket flung over the kitchen counter. Writing is your body trying to sleep at night while your brain is stuck in a snowbound forest on an undiscovered island, watching as a dysfunctional expedition tries to build their tents before killing each other. But the real challenge is getting them on paper, because you want to share your stories with the world, but how do you condense a person into a single sentence? Because I can tell you he has brown hair and brown eyes and always wears a big green bomber jacket, but that doesn't tell you about the way he always laughs before he cries or the way he walks around like he owns the place. Because I can go on and on about her massive curly red hair and the way she pops up everywhere you would least expect her to. But that doesn't tell you about her sassy personality or the way that her political opinions could literally bring about the ruins of countries. Because I can describe his lanky figure and the way his light blonde hair falls into his eyes, but that doesn't tell you about his reckless laughter or the way he shrinks back in fear at the mere threat of a dancing flame. Because writing isn't just the art of imagination, it's the translation of entire worlds onto paper. It's making people